Right now, the Middle East is facing one of the most serious geopolitical tensions in recent years. Reports are emerging that could change the entire direction of the conflict involving the United States, Iran, and Israel. According to a detailed report from the Washington Post, several U.S. officials familiar with classified intelligence say that Russia may have been providing Iran with sensitive targeting information since tensions escalated in the region. This information reportedly includes the locations of American military assets in the Middle East, such as warships and military aircraft. Because the issue is extremely sensitive, the officials spoke anonymously. When reporters asked the Kremlin spokesperson about these allegations, he refused to comment. Why does this matter so much? Military experts say Russia has some of the most advanced surveillance technology in the world. Their satellite systems and intelligence networks are capable of tracking military movements with high precision. If these reports are accurate, Iran may not be guessing the location of American forces. Instead, it could be receiving highly accurate positioning data from a major global power. That would represent a very serious development. It could also mean that a global power is indirectly becoming involved in the conflict between the United States and Iran. At the same time, tensions between Israel and Iran have also increased significantly. Israel has repeatedly warned that it will not allow Iran to strengthen its military capabilities in the region. Because of this, the Middle East is now seeing increased military activity from several countries. In Washington, journalists recently tried to ask the U.S. president about these intelligence reports during a press conference. However, the event quickly shifted toward another topic: college sports and whether athletes should receive payment for their name, image, and likeness. When one reporter asked about the Russia intelligence reports, the president dismissed the question and said it was not relevant to the discussion. This response surprised many analysts because American troops are currently operating in an active and dangerous environment in the Middle East. Many experts believe that clear communication from leadership is extremely important during moments like this. Meanwhile, the conflict itself continues to develop rapidly. Military officials say new operations are being planned to target missile launch sites and weapons facilities connected to Iran. The goal of these operations is to reduce the risk to U.S. forces and allies in the region, including Israel. At the same time, global leaders are watching the situation closely because any escalation could affect not only the Middle East but the entire world. And that brings us to the bigger question: where is this conflict heading next? Right now, the tension between Iran, Israel, and the United States is one of the most serious geopolitical conflicts in the world. Instead of moving toward peace, the situation appears to be becoming more intense with each passing week. Many people are asking an important question: who is playing the most important role in this conflict, and why is it not stopping? To understand this situation, we need to look at the role of each country. First, the United States plays a major strategic role. The U.S. has been one of Israel's strongest allies for decades. It provides military support, intelligence cooperation, and diplomatic backing. Because of this partnership, any conflict involving Israel often draws the United States into the situation, even if indirectly. Second, Israel sees Iran as one of its biggest security threats. Israeli leaders believe that Iran's growing military influence in the Middle East could eventually threaten Israel's safety. Because of this concern, Israel has taken a very firm stance against Iranian military expansion in the region. Third, Iran views itself as a powerful regional force. Iranian leadership often argues that it is protecting its sovereignty and influence in the Middle East. Iran also supports several groups and alliances across the region, which increases its strategic presence. Because of these competing interests, tensions between these countries have continued to rise. Another important factor behind the conflict is regional influence. The Middle East is one of the most strategically important regions in the world. It sits near major trade routes and contains a large share of the world's energy resources. One of the most critical locations in this situation is the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway is used to transport a large portion of the world's oil supply. Any instability in this area can immediately affect global energy markets. Because of this, even a small military escalation can have global economic consequences. Now let's talk about the economic impact. Conflicts like this are extremely expensive for all countries involved. Military operations require large budgets for equipment, defense systems, logistics, and intelligence operations. For the United States, the financial cost can reach billions of dollars if military operations expand. The U.S. already spends hundreds of billions each year on defense, and additional conflicts increase that burden. For Israel, constant military readiness also places pressure on the national economy. Israel has a strong technology sector and economy, but long-term security operations require major government spending. This can affect public budgets, investment priorities, and economic growth. For Iran, the financial pressure can be even greater. Iran's economy has already faced years of sanctions and economic restrictions. Ongoing tensions and military risks can reduce trade, weaken its currency, and increase inflation. Another economic effect is rising global oil prices. When tensions increase in the Middle East, energy markets react immediately. Oil prices often rise because traders fear supply disruptions. Higher oil prices can lead to higher fuel costs, increased transportation expenses, and inflation in many countries around the world. This is why governments and global organizations are closely watching this conflict. Now, the final question: what is the main reason this conflict continues to grow? Most experts believe the core issue is power and security influence in the Middle East. Each country wants to protect its interests, strengthen its alliances, and prevent its rivals from gaining strategic advantages. Because these goals often clash, tensions remain high and diplomatic solutions become more difficult. At the same time, global powers are carefully managing their responses to avoid a much larger regional war. For now, the world is watching closely. While military tensions are increasing in the Middle East, another development is raising serious questions among analysts and political observers. During the same week that reports surfaced about Russia allegedly helping Iran with intelligence, the U.S. Treasury Department announced changes related to Russian oil sanctions. Officials explained that some restrictions on Russian oil could be eased in order to stabilize global energy markets. For example, India may be allowed to resume purchasing certain amounts of Russian crude oil. The administration says this move is designed to prevent major disruptions in the global energy supply during the current crisis. However, critics argue that the timing of this decision is confusing. If Russia is truly helping Iran target American forces, some analysts ask why economic restrictions would be relaxed at the same time. This question has become a major topic of discussion in political and military circles. Meanwhile, the situation on the ground continues to evolve quickly. Reports indicate that the United States and its allies are preparing for additional military operations aimed at Iranian missile systems and military infrastructure. The purpose of these operations is to reduce potential threats to American forces and to regional partners such as Israel. At the same time, Iran's leadership has delivered strong statements, saying that the future of the country will be decided by its own people. Another critical concern is the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway is one of the most important shipping routes in the world, especially for oil transportation. Any disruption in this area can immediately impact global energy prices. Recently, tensions in the region have already pushed oil prices higher, and gas prices in several countries are beginning to rise. Because of this, governments around the world are watching the situation very carefully. Diplomatic efforts are also increasing, as several countries are trying to prevent the conflict from expanding further. Experts say the situation has now reached a very delicate stage. Every decision made by world leaders could affect not only the Middle East but global security and economic stability. For now, many questions remain unanswered. How far will this conflict escalate? Will diplomacy reduce tensions? Or could the situation move toward a much larger international crisis? These are the questions the entire world is asking right now. And as events continue to unfold, the coming days may be extremely important for the future of the region.